All righty. Let me get 5 seconds. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen of the interwebs, welcome to the Beacon TVL show, the weekly podcast from Beacon DeFi, your beacon in the world of decentralized finance. I'm your host, Professor Chris. We've got a great show lined up for you as we tackle the news of the week that's relevant to you, our dear users in the world of on-chain investing. Today on the show, we have co-founder of many awesome media properties, Flix.fun, StreamSwap, OmniFlix. We have founder Sisla here. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well, Chris. How are you doing today?
I'm good, man. I have an energy drink, so I am flying. I'm
Very
flying
nice.
right now. It's been an interesting week. I feel like that,
Yeah,
there's all kinds of. I'm not gonna say that it's been a very like monumental week from a news standpoint, but it's definitely been there's definitely some things happening. So that's really, to me,
yeah,
that's really the part that I'm really interested in. So let me
yeah,
just do
yeah.
one thing real quick, and then we'll get into the news. So, um, you know, we're both family guys. I wanted to ask you while I do this, what's your favorite thing to do with your family?
Going out on a trip, playing some games that actually, combine, like, bring all of us together. Those are some of the things that I'm enjoying. My son is still growing up.
Mhm.
So, like learning how to learn is my favorite part, in the entire equation. Yeah.
That's a fantastic answer. Myself, I have 3 daughters, so learning how to
Mm.
learn is a very valid statement because you're definitely
Yeah, I mean,
going to
like
be
this.
kids, man.
No, all I was
Kids are
saying
just
was, we like this is probably the second, or like once we have kids, we actually figure out like whatever we take for granted and what are things that you'll have to actually pay attention to, and those are like some of the things that made me feel that we can have like a different framework to learn, and just observing things. Yeah.
yeah, my kids teach me something every single day.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know, I honestly don't know my life very well before I had children. I mean, obviously I do, but a lot of it's just kind of a blur. It's like, yeah, and
Correct.
it's such a blessing, being a dad. So congrats to you. I
Oh,
know you don't have a ton of time with us. So let's go ahead and hop
yeah.
into, what we normally talk about. The first thing we normally talk about is a little bit of the market. So um we've seen a little bit of a rebound on the market, Sisla. We're looking at, specifically, not necessarily the point about Bitcoin coming back up to possibly regain 112. It's more that I'm hearing that a lot of people are selling Bitcoin to buy Ethereum, which really kind of looks into the cycle of, we're Bitcoin, then we're ETH, and then we're altcoins, and then we're back, back to stables, and then the hard landing, and we start all over again. Are we seeing the cycle movement start to unfold in front of our eyes? What are your thoughts?
Good one. Yeah, I think we are already in this run, and for those that got sidelined, I think I should say, uh, yeah, including pretty much anyone that does not hold Bitcoin or ETH in size, probably got sidelined. And rotation might or might not is a different story altogether into say alts, but definitely I think we this is just a blip, right? And this is like, hey, Bitcoin crashed to 100K. Come on, right? Like it's at 100K. So that is my take. At the same time, we are seeing a lot of macro and external factors actually play into this, and there are multiple reasons why this is happening. Not the dip as such, but multiple reasons as to why, let's say, Bitcoin and Ethereum at these price ranges. So yeah, I think this will continue for a while, and I don't think this will be like a sudden dip to 60K or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think this is very much what we've been seeing since March, right? We're seeing up, seeing a little bit of pullback. We're continuing to do higher lows and lower highs, right? I think this is where this is par for the course. All of these digital asset treasury companies are continuing to scoop up ETH. They're continuing to scoop up all other types of altcoins. they're seeing the patterns play out. And I think a lot of what we're going to be seeing is going to just kind of play into that narrative. So the other thing we look at on this show is crypto bubbles, Sisla, and story of the morning so far has been good old crypto.com backup. This is what happens when you do the legwork and you get the favor of the president of the United States. He puts you in good places. Hyperliquid also looking good at 5.8 up, as well as both Radium and Solana. Solana back up, I believe, above 200. Just to double check, yeah, 207. So back on. My goodness, look at that chart. That is ridiculous in terms of where we've come back from. So,
Yeah.
the trenches are happy again, ladies and gentlemen. turn the meme coins back on. Pump up 6.8. My goodness, that's for the day. For the week, still very similar story. ETH is getting scooped up in record amounts, and now so is Hype and Aave. So again, this will be part of the overall narrative that we'll talk about for the next couple of minutes. Is there anything here that kind of plays into your thoughts, Sisla, in particular, like what you just mentioned, where you think this is kind of a blip and we're pulling forward? So do you think a lot of this still pulls in that same direction?
Yeah, I mean, lots of TradFi activity. Is this a case of rich getting richer and, the saying poor getting poorer? Because, institutions with money are, I know we'll talk about these, but institutions with money or with the ability to coordinate capital, they are making sure they make the moves right now. And those moves are with size. It's not size that a single individual or someone can actually like get in with. This is size that is sometimes at the scale of a country, right? So that is what we're talking about right now. So pretty bullish on the overall use of tech, and on the blockchain side as well as crypto side. So yeah, I know what we're talking next, so I'll just reserve a few thoughts for later. Yeah.
Well, actually, I'm actually going to jump a little bit forward because I did find an actual tracker that I think is quite
Yeah.
interesting to kind of talk about these big moves. And this is, for anyone who hasn't seen this, this is an independent project called CryptoTreasuries.app. You may want to consider looking at this specifically because these digital asset treasury companies, and we've talked a lot about the US based ones on this show over the past couple of months. There are companies, regardless, around the world who are building gigantic digital asset treasuries to really just push a lot of the big assets forward, not just Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin is here at the top, I'm guessing because it's in alphabetical order or something like that. But the ETH companies are also here, and we're seeing companies. Looks like Ether Machine is still lower on this, but I mean, Bitmine with Tom Lee continuing to just get through to try and own 5% of the actual supply. This, a lot of people are actually calling BMNR as a true ETH beta play now. So that might be something to consider moving forward with regards to, if I'm not going to buy ETH, what else should I buy exposure to? Anything on this list might be a considerable play. Oh wow, we now have multiple Sol treasury companies, because remember, DeFi Dev has been the big uh, dip eater, is that what I'll call it? That wasn't the word I was going to use. I'm just going to use the word dip eater. But BNB, Doge. Oh wow, there's an ENA treasury company now, and there's multiple hype treasury companies. Um, okay, there's way more companies than I was expecting. There's even an okay, so yeah, I've heard about XRP. That's fine. We know about the Tau ones, but one for Sui and Litecoin. Interesting that a pharmaceutical company would be that big into Litecoin. There's some interesting narratives into this stuff, guys. If you're looking for like altcoins to try and acquire for the next rotation, I mean, Sisla, are these coins on your list of altcoins that you're going to be accumulating over time for the next, let's call it 3 to 6 months? Obviously not financial advice.
Yeah, obviously not financial advice, and I'm pretty sure that I think as the narrative is shaping up, right, like with DATCos, we most likely will see a DATCO for every 100 or maybe even top 200 projects, right? Maybe up to 500 projects, right? And in some sense, the foundation themselves or the labs team themselves are like a that, right, in this case, if not anyone else. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if a pharmacy company that's listed on Nasdaq got scooped up, or like in some way ran a community takeover, underwent a community takeover to eventually build a Litecoin treasury. I don't think that's surprising, and these will continue, right? Like some of them, I think they got rejected also. Some of these mergers and acquisition processes. I've been reading about ways where there were SPACs, right? Like now there is something like that that's
Exactly.
happening with DATs as well, where they're able to acquire interest, or rather acquire the publicly listed company itself. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure those that it's not about those that can will do. Like I've observed something interesting as well with hyper, right? Like specifically Hyperliquid.
Hmm.
You have a 1 million hype requirement for I think HIP3, which is the
Yeah,
prediction
for hip
market.
three. Yep.
Yeah, right.
It's
So
builder perp deployment is really what it is.
exactly, right. So come on, like if you're raising for or if you intend to utilize the HIP3, and if you're actually raising a round, do you have to factor in the 40 million or 48 million now USD that you'll have to allocate for the 1 million hype? Do you need a DAT for that? Can only DATs do that? Can DAT be the company that actually holds hype and then uses that to lease out to builders? How does that work, right? Like many interesting models that we see in place and functional. We are we are observing. Of course, there are like certain players that are involved here. Like some of it is like extremely institutional in nature. Some of it is like retail, a hybrid of that. So yeah, we are observing not just on the lines of whether we'll eventually end up uh, working with a DAT or building a DAT ourselves, but most likely assessing the opportunity in general. Yeah.
Yeah, watch out for this one. If you're curious about hip three companies, I'm curious to see what Kinetic does here, because they're going to be leading along with Ventuals with a couple other protocols about with Hyperliquid about how they're going to handle that whole perps deployment, and because it's going to be very interesting. It's not going to be completely hyper EVM focused. It's very hyper core focused, but yeah, I'm
Correct.
excited to see. And obviously, we don't know what the when the stuff is going live on mainnet for all of the HIP3 specific
Mhm.
things. And if you're in our mastermind, check out our Thursday call. We talked a lot about HIP3 last Thursday. But the other thing, just to bring it back to what we were talking about with all of these DAT companies, this is a big piece of news that I didn't put in the agenda, but I did put in our digest, is that Galaxy, Jump, and Multicoin with Cantor Fitzgerald as the lead banker, $1 billion Solana play. This is going to be very big. For me personally, because Cantor Fitzgerald is the banker, the chairman of Cantor Fitzgerald just happens to be Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. So there are big administration ties here, guys.
Mhm.
This is all not a coincidence. Just so you guys know, there is going to be a significant amount of control being put out over the over what we're being talking about. So, kind of segueing into this next thing, uh, there's a recent article from one of our favorite influencers, Arthur Hayes.
Oh,
It's a long read, guys. Yeah,
Chris, I have one point on the DATs,
yeah,
especially
go ahead.
observing what's happening with Solana specifically,
Yeah, go ahead.
because we did not have media, like not media deepin, but like deepin DATs or any on
Ooh, yeah,
those
you're
lines,
right.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the thing is that, yeah, right, like it's not just ETH staking, right? Like someone that's a whale, multi-coin capital, Solana, right? That's
Hmm.
a whale in an ecosystem that understands how to maximize value, like generate yield in that sense, with a certain asset on a certain network with certain protocols, right? They would be the most helpful players that assist, augment DATs in that sense, right? And
That's true.
if
That's
the
fair.
DATs, yeah, if the DATs themselves learn how to run nodes and and how they can operate all of this, then they save an additional 2.5% or something like that, right? So all of this put together, I think we are now ready for something like this, because even in, like, in countries like India, right, you
Hmm.
you have organizations, it's still a gray area, specifically crypto and so on and so forth. Yes,
Right.
it is, you can access, you can show it on books, but the kind of taxes that you pay are like extremely ridiculous. So there are certain ways in which you can navigate this landscape. But even in countries like India, you still have people, companies, I mean, buying Bitcoin to make sure that it's on their books. And this has been happening since around 2018, 2020, like when it was like okay, and there was this, say, gray light from the government, if I can say that. So
Yeah.
so so in some sense, like, they're now being called DATs, but that is like a level up, in terms of structuring all of this
Yes.
well, whereas companies have always been doing this even before Sailor, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. 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 It's just
Right.
now more coordinated.
And
Yeah, because with, like
yeah.
you said, mentioning SPACs and stuff like that, literal companies merging, like with what happened with Justin Sun and Tron, where they literally took over a company that made merchandise for movies to create Tron Inc. Right. So I mean,
Yeah,
we're
right. Right.
money's going to
So
talk in this environment. So
yeah,
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 it's
yeah,
going to be
yeah.
a very interesting 2026 because I don't think we're going to see a lot of other movement other than more of these DAT companies coming. But I do
Yeah.
think 2026, especially because I think they're waiting. I do think they're waiting. Like a lot of companies were waiting for the stablecoin, for the Genius Act to pass. So stablecoins are now legal
Correct.
for a lot of institutions. And
Correct.
we're going to be in, we're coming up into September. So now we're getting into close to quarter four. I don't think
Yeah.
we're going to see a lot of movement other than probably just some hints at things. I think Q1 2026 is going to be a very explosive Q1. So, what I have to
Yeah.
say about that is you got to be ready. You got to be early. So, um,
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of consumer crypto like that. That's like suddenly active in Q4. This is the OND. I mean, you know how advertising also works, right? Like
yes.
media cycle. So the OND Q4 companies are like different. So they are like the consumer companies in our case.
Hmm.
The more infra, more enterprise ones, I think they'll be preparing for the next calendar year, financial year, and like, assessing, where they can like maximize value during probably this Q4. And also, like you mentioned, a very interesting point. I think I heard this somewhere yesterday or 2 days back. What if there is this model around, people waiting, but what if there is an acquisition of a DAT? What happens to the tokens underneath? So if a Sol DAT
Oh, that's a great
acquires an
question.
ETH DAT, and that ETH DAT liquidates all ETH and dumps it for Sol, or vice versa, what can happen? And acquisition, under net asset value can happen also because the value of the share price of that company can go down, right?
Yeah,
It's not
of
like it
course.
is stable. It's not like a stable coin. It's like meme token, right? Or some token. So it can always go down, and it can go under the TVL in like Web3 terms. You have like market cap under TVL. That's total asset value, and the market cap of the DAT can be lower. It's not like surprising, especially for Web3 folks. So I think that is an interesting perspective to think about, and like probably to track, because which you never know what can get acquired when. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that brings up an interesting point. I think as an investor, I'm curious to know, is it just because they think there's just better upside possibility why you would want to actually put money into one of these DAT companies rather than owning the underlying asset yourself? Like I'm wondering, for most investors, what is that disconnect? It's like, would you rather just own ETH or would you rather own a company with a share price that just owns a ton of it? I don't think that there's the same amount of upside. I think there's just more, uh, maybe it's just PTSD. Maybe it's just fear and just fear programming about risk on assets. To me, it just doesn't make sense. It's like, yes, it's great that there are all these companies bringing money in, institutional money, but why don't companies just buy the asset themselves? That's what I'm curious
Hey,
about. What do you think?
they yeah, they haven't attended your masterclass, mastermind course,
They must not.
because they
Yeah,
do
they
not
haven't.
know. they do not know how to maximize yield with like the token itself or the asset itself. So I mean, this is not Chris pinging me for anything, but definitely check out the mastermind course, primarily because how valuable self custody can be. I mean, it is risky in some sense for people that do not know how to take care of things. Rails in some sense has its advantages. I think DATs were primarily organized, orchestrated because there were no ways in which these assets could be used in an institutional context, or we did not have those TradFi rails. But now, with crypto actually, or crypto tokens, right, like cryptocurrencies being legal and accepted, that's represent completely something completely different. They
Oh yeah.
represent the ability to maximize yield, for people that might not be. I mean, if it is even if it is like I think an ETF fund, you can't really do things with your asset. But if it's in a DAT, you can like stake, you can do like certain things and increase yield, which is increase like that yield increases the total value of the assets logged inside the company. And this is not like a hedge fund where you get a return. And this asset
Exactly.
value logged inside the company is increasing the valuation of the token, sorry, the stock that's like backing the treasury, right? So I think it's like a like tertiary play, three-layer play, but not for us, right? Like maybe not for us. I'm not sure. Like if we ever get to like a billion and so on and so forth, like then maybe you might invest, like diversify your portfolio, like not crypto but crypto. So yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I think it makes sense. I just don't know why they don't make it sense. And I thank you very much. I'm just going to do this real quick because
Yeah,
we'll talk
please.
about our free group real quick, and then we'll move on to your projects because I know we don't have you for a ton of time. Again, join our free group, school.com/beacon. Absolutely free to join. And if you're finding value, thanks again so much to Sisla. He came here on frankly very short notice. So we're going to talk about his projects in just a minute. But learn from the best and the best. If you are curious about how to make your crypto or digital assets work for you, you just bought some Bitcoin, bought some ETH. You're curious, what can I do with it? You can do a lot with it, guys. You can earn in excess of 10, 100, even higher percentage on your money just by looking to some of our free content. Check out our Start Here post, and you'll get a message from myself and my co-founder Andrew. You'll learn about all of the other programs that we have, and you can also take the Beacon Challenge. It's an easy way to make your first dollar in DeFi within 48 hours. And of course, just join our mastermind if you want to be with the best, get the best white glove service that's around and become a confident and competent investor, because bad actors are going to be in this space, guys. They already are. And they prey on two things: people that are unprepared and uneducated. Don't be either of those two. Feel free to join our group, absolutely free, school.com/beacon. Let's bring up your companies. Let's start with, should we start with OmniFlix or should we start with Flix.fun or StreamSwap? Which would you prefer?
Flix.fun.
Okay, let's start with that. So it's funny, I Sisla and I found ourselves in a group chat, and I happened to find out what he used to do. And I was a long-term investor when they're still on Cosmos. So it's kind of funny how small this world can really be. But now you have, and we're going to have you back on in a couple of weeks to really dive deeply into this, because I think this is a super cool idea. One I'm personally going to be taking advantage of, and this is at Flix.fun. So Sisla, please introduce Flix.fun to the community.
Hey, thanks, Chris. Again, yeah, like it is quite surprising that we found each other in the group chat, and I was like, really honored, surprised that you knew from the OmniFlix days. And no wonder, after
Yeah.
I got to know what you're up to, like no wonder that you've explored Cosmos, and we are one of the few projects that have been like extremely active. We are in some sense media infra, if I can say, not a media
Yep.
consumer app. So that has like led to us taking the decision of building in Cosmos. And now at this point in time, we are expanding, and we've rebranded from OmniFlix to Flix.fun. So what is Flix.fun? It is a simple platform that can help you launch your own homepages, right? And Chris, like taking your example, right? Like you yourself, you're, if I can say, a creator, a KOL, an
I
influencer,
am.
right?
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's so nice of you. To
No,
call
of
me a
course,
KOL
right.
is kind of crazy, but that's fine. Appreciate it.
Right. And Amar, with the number of courses and all the free stuff that you put out, and the conversations in the chat also, I think that was one of the reasons why I like pinged you, and then we hit it off. So yeah, Flix.fun is a platform, is an app for any creator, anyone that's running a project, running a community, for them to create their own homepage. What we believe is this homepage will become the base for you to like build your community of super fans. You do have Insta, you do have YouTube, you have like multiple social media platforms that many people post content to, many creators they post content to, but organic reach is extremely limited. Less than 3% in most cases. So in that sense, to avoid being like, ever demonetized by any of these algorithms, any of these social platforms, you need a destination. And we believe creator homepages are that destination. In simple words, this is like your own website. This is like your own MySpace page for those of you that are from that era. And this is like your own destination. So in simple words, yeah, Flix.fun is a way for you to create home pages. And the best part is, we support what are interactive videos. We have what is interactive streaming in that sense. So it's not just say curate content from a YouTube or a Twitter onto your homepage, but you can also publish, all of your content to your homepage and YouTube and, Twitch and other platforms. So this is Flix.fun as a whole, supporting interactive video, supporting interactive streaming. And who knows, tomorrow one day, in a live stream like this one, we might have a short term prediction market running, and
Oh,
whoever is watching the live stream right here can just right beside participate in the prediction market that is created by you, Chris, that says probably, will the price of Bitcoin go over X by the end of the stream. And at the
love
end
it.
of the stream, the short term prediction market is settled. You as a creator, you take a small fees, and then everyone's predictions get settled. So yeah, simple use cases, but interactive media we believe is the future. Specifically media and markets go hand in hand, because media uses a story, whereas the markets, they confirm the validity of a story, right? And the storytelling part, and making sure that all of it is like coming together, is something that we are building on with infra, like from an infra standpoint. And yeah, all of this is powered by media deep in infra. So yeah, quite a lot going on with Flix.fun. Do check it out. And if you're a creator, do not hesitate to apply.
And I'm excited about this. What's interesting is I think a month ago, when the Genius Act was being signed into law, they didn't have the votes by the time we had the show started. By the time the show ended, we found out like 10 minutes before they went ahead and signed it into law. So we could have had like that really
Yeah.
fun prediction market happening in real time. So yeah, no, I love that. For people who are of this age. Obviously, MySpace may be foreign to some people, but think of Linktree, but like on steroids, stuff like that, right? So it's like a central point where you can find information about somebody, and then you have the ability, at least from my perspective as a creator, have my videos there. You can have my it'll be my, I can tell you right now on my page, it's going to be my Zora stuff, my stuff that I
Yeah.
stream, here on X, on Retake, on anything else, my Twitter feed, all that stuff you have to, and even links to other stuff, like stuff we have the beacon and stuff like that for learning. If you want to learn more, get into it. It's a really awesome thing. Interactive media, interactive on chain media is really something that's really cool. Two things I wanted to ask. uh what was
Yeah.
the decision to come in on base?
I think it is extremely simple. Like Chris, on the screen you see a button to the
Yeah.
top right corner. If you can click that once, yeah, I'll just like explain a few details. The thing with Base is there is probably no other ecosystem at this point in time that is as focused on creators or the creator economy and consumer apps as much as Base. And in this case, it is not just crypto native consumer apps, but these are like consumer apps, period.
Oh
That
yeah.
being said, Base does not have a token.
Correct.
So the things that you can do, or the things that you do when you have a token, are pretty messed up, right? And the things that you can do when you do not have a token to focus on, when you do not have to pump something, when you do not have to work for your bags, the things that you do, like as a team, they do, are quite different. And we personally think that Coinbase, as a crypto native, they are a crypto native company, and they've pushed crypto and like cryptocurrencies and Web3 so much in that traditional sense that they won't let a like decentralized chain die. And they've doubled down on everything so much like that. Dex assets, or like assets listed on base dexes, or maybe even on Solana in future, are directly available on the Coinbase app. And what else is like an indicator of confidence, or what else can give us more confidence than that? So yeah, pretty excited to be building on base. And Chris, like you said, there's no other app, like app chain or chain, that's focused on this, because of protocols like Zora, Farcaster. I mean, they were there elsewhere. We had Lens, we had other things, but the way they're packaged together and the way distribution is achieved, I think it's intense, like push by the base team, and specifically by Coinbase as well, and the builders within. So this homepage can homepage for a Zora creator, and can add extra utility to a Zora coin. If they do not have a Zora coin, so be it, right? Like it can be a Clanker coin, or some coin that they launch, or it can be without any coin, like you said, a link tree but richer, right? So
Exactly.
yeah.
I did want to bring this up too, before I know you have to go soon, but one thing we talk about obviously is opportunities, and there's an opportunity here if you're looking for an opportunity to make additional ROI as a node host, because one thing that this platform also is a little bit of a depend type of thing, right? So you can go and host a media node. So if you could kind of talk a little bit more about how that works, I think that's also equally good for people who are looking to, if they're not a creator, support creators or even profit off of creators themselves.
Yeah, very good question. I mean, we refrain from talking about this because it'll get too
Oh, I'm
complicated
sorry.
too soon. No, no, no. I mean, like this is the right show probably, but in that sense, yeah. In the Cosmos ecosystem, we have this entire infra, like full-fledged infra ready with
Mhm.
its own chain, but we want to make it work across blockchains. So we just last week deployed our first version of the media node contract on base, right? So we just got started testing, that. And yeah, what is the media deep in infra, right? Or the node, right? So like you said, Chris, if someone is not a creator, they can curate content, right? They can have a taste, they might have a taste, they might have ways to identify alpha or like info, so they can curate content. That is what the homepage is for. You need not be a creator, you need not be a someone that produces content directly. It can be indirect as well. You can put together things. We know playlist curators, we know how much playlists are revered, and like slots in playlists, top playlists are like actually sold in 5-figure dollar value
Oh yeah.
figures, right? So yeah, that is one. So what is it with our media node? So your entire homepage is powered by one of two things, or both. It is a smart contract where you register, at Chris or your username. You
Right.
have all your links in the smart contract, and there is a UI for that smart contract, right? That's about it. So this is one way. But what if you want to publish media? Right now, even on Farcaster and Zora and Base app, they're hosting your content. You never know what happens. If anyone has PTSD of NFTs from the 2021-22 era, after a year, Pinata subscriptions were over, like they weren't renewed, and NFT projects did not have their files stored anywhere else. It was like that level of, I won't say recklessness, but like that is the infra, that is what we got to deal with. And even CloneX NFTs, like they got
Yeah,
wiped
yeah.
out, and so on and so forth, right? Like so, that has been the story. And this is not just about decentralized media, any media, right? Other than YouTube, wherever you upload your content to, if your server is not active, if your website is not active, it's gone, right? So yes, in some sense, the media node also enables that, where you have your own server to upload all your media. So in one line, right? If code has GitHub, what does your media have? Does it have a single source of truth? Right? That is the first question. So you can upload all your assets. What can you do after you upload? You should be able to, as a creator, publish to your homepage, or to YouTube. See, you can publish an interactive video. That interactive experience, Web3 interactive experience, can't be, can't be offered anywhere else on platforms like YouTube or X. It has to be only on, a specific website which has that program, that, video has that logic embedded. And that your homepage can then be used inside of Farcaster like a mini app, because you have your own
Ah,
destination,
yep.
which is powered by, your own media node, right? So this way, leasing a media node has its own advantages. Chris, I think we discussed, I'll probably publicly share this, but it's definitely something that we are considering powering and are also doing it. So we can take all of your videos, clips of your videos, and run a 24/7 broadcast using your media node, right? And this 24/7 live stream can run on every platform, and people can tune in at any point in time during the day. They might watch it only for 15 minutes, but if that 15 minutes or 30 minutes is power packed, right, for them to get all the info that they need to, hey, we're good, right? Like, we're serving
Oh yeah.
anyone that watches at any point in time. So, and this can be fresh info, if you have like AI plugins hooked up, like, in some sense, we can like make sure that it's all fresh info. So this is the reason why someone would lease a media node. Why would a node host want to run one? If you invest like X and run a node, we are pretty sure that you can get anywhere between a 1.75 to 3x of whatever you invest in. It can be a lease of, say, $1 an hour to $10 an hour. If someone wants an ultra powerful server for only 5 hours, they're ready to probably pay $5 an hour, right? They get $25. Probably the entire investment for the month is $100 or $150, and they got 1/6 of whatever they invested in like 5 hours. So in a month there are 720 hours, and that's what you got. Like, we are making sure that the economics of this also are sorted out even before we launch, because those 720 hours maximizing, your profit investment as a node is something that we are looking at as well, right from the get go. And we'll only increase this with say a broadcast, a 24/7 broadcast. If you are running a TV channel, you wouldn't want to like take it down and then run it tomorrow, right? You just
Right.
lease the node for the entire month, and that's a long lease. So we are making sure that, like, with archival content, with backed up content, right, you increase the total amount of like the lease period. You might, we are making sure that longer leases are, in fact, beneficial, or the solutions we are working on are also tailored towards longer leases, but also you can use it for a few hours and then just discard everything, right? So this is the opportunity for media node hosts. And yeah, Chris, thank you for asking that question, because we usually don't talk about this because it gets too technical for,
Oh
say,
no,
a
this
creator
is our
or
audience.
someone
We're
else.
opportunists here. We know what to do.
Exactly, love it, right? And yeah, I hope that answers your question, Chris.
No, it does, because a lot of our group, especially in our free group, they love DeepIn. They love anything where they can find good ROE for good products. This is a good product, guys. This is something that's going to. This is very smart. This is, if there's one thing, and we just saw this. And again, I don't want to highlight like bad things that are happening in the world, but we're seeing people getting deplatformed from different platforms for
Yeah,
whatever reason. The ability for you to own your own content, own your own media node in a
yeah,
decentralized on-chain manner, that is so important, guys. uh, that's the one reason why we're in crypto, right? We want anti-fragile, censorship resistant digital assets that we can hold ourselves, that aren't going to be prey to inflation and it's losing value year over year. That's the reason why we're here, when we're invested in a lot of this stuff. A lot of times we always talk about DeFi being the future of finance. This could be the future of media. And I know that that was kind of the original view of OmniFlix, but this is
correct.
in a much more powerful, much more interactive way. So super excited to obviously to be talking with you and having you on the show. We're excited to work with you guys down the line. This will be my homepage, by the way, guys, moving forward. This is an awesome platform. I'm excited to support them. Excited for them to help support me on my journey to help us all educate everybody here in the world about having digital financial literacy, on-chain financial literacy. It's all very important. So, Sisla, I know you said you had to leave a little early, so I'm just going to give you some time to kind of talk about anything you want to plug. Please feel free to. And then, of course, anytime you want to come back, we're happy to have you.
Definitely, Chris. I think this was excellent. Thank you for having me up
Of
here.
course.
We
Thank you.
usually, whenever I'm on like a session, it's not generic stuff or our thoughts that are covered. It's usually about Flix.fun or Stream Swap or what we're doing around that. So I've enjoyed the first half of this conversation as well. Talking about everything, sharing our thoughts, and putting together various perspectives. So as a final plug, I would just say, like Chris, if you're keen on building your own homepage powered by Media Deep and Infra, where you can build a community, a destination for your superfans, while you own your own media, your distribution, and your revenue streams, do not hesitate to go to flix.fun/apply. Yeah. Thank you all.
Yeah, and we're early. We're super early on this, guys. I mean, I'm not going to ask if you guys are going to have a token, but I mean, we're really early on this. So, early bird gets the worm on this kind of stuff, guys. Get in now and get in before this stuff starts taking off. Obviously, with things like retake, things like Zora, these are all things that are still in their infancy stages. A good metric for this is right now the base app, which is the new version of Coinbase Wallet that Coinbase is putting out, still has in excess of 650,000 people on the wait list. The moment they all get access to all
One
this
million
stuff, guys.
now. It's
Oh, it's
it's
a
1
million
million
now.
now. Yeah. Yeah.
We're super early, guys. You have a lot of
Exactly.
opportunity to come in and get in really early on the flood of people that are going to be coming in using these apps. So if you're a content creator, if you want to do a media node, if you just want to support on-chain media in a decentralized manner, check out Flix.fun. Sisla, thank you so much for being here, my brother. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for having us here, and looking forward to being back really soon. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds great.
Take, take care.
See you later. Man, what a time to have Sisla here on the show. Yeah, again, he was very. I was very thankful. He was very spontaneous. I was going to do this show by myself, and I was like, you know what? Let's have Sisla on today. See if he has time, and he does. And then I'm very thankful that he's able to do that. So, um, let's go and move back on to some of the news I was going to talk about. So, the first thing I did want to talk about specifically was with Buffalo Bill. This is with an Arthur Hayes article. And I can just use the single. Oh, let's go back to the square. So this is a fun little article, and again, you can check it out on TVL if you want the show notes specifically for this article, or I'll put it some other places. But Arthur Hayes is one of my favorite influencers, KOLs. Had with Maelstrom, Dragonfly. They put out Athena. He's the former CEO of BitMEX. It's a very colorful, uh, specific article. The one he had on Jerome Powell was anyway. Ultimately, there's a lot of interesting metaphors here, but the ones I wanted to point out were specifically because the overall arching thought about this is, if you've been watching the news in the United States, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who he dubs here as Buffalo Bill, a very interesting metaphor. This is really just an idea about how can the U.S. with stable coins, digital assets, control the money supply moving forward? Because ultimately, we're in a situation where Chairman Powell is not willing to cut rates because he's worried about stagflation from the effects of tariffs and what other countries are doing in reaction to that. Because he's a data-driven guy. That's why President Trump brought him in 2019, because he wanted a data-driven guy, not a guy who has thoughts about things. Irony, right? But ultimately, just to kind of tell you about the article overall, there's three things that are very important. Euro dollars. There's a lot of U.S. coins that are in the hands of both Euro dollars and also, if you want to call them Asian dollars, because of who owns T-bills. If you read, the U.S. has been very secretly, and he says secretly, so again, take this is his opinion. We don't have any proof of that, but they've been bailing out European banks for years. Scott Bessent has a very has a very interesting past in the 90s with specifically the Bank of England. But ultimately, the point is, how is he going to leverage stable coins and really push the idea for stable coins to help strengthen the US dollar? That's really what this article is about. So if this is something that interests you, this might be something that you really should check out and kind of not necessarily take to heart, but kind of keep in the back of your mind as we see more of these headlines come out. What I wanted to talk about, and he talked about Hype, he talked about EtherFi, he talked about Athena, three companies that we have, really that we're really bullish on, rather entities, not companies. But these specific headlines, I think, are the very interesting part here. First is there's going to be the need for offshore USD markets, specifically for Eurodollars. Ultimately, being able to use things like FedNow, ISO 222 to utilize those for stable coins to help create swap dollar lines with the Federal Treasury with different countries, different entities will be important. This is the one that I thought was interesting. Regulations put forward to require stablecoin issuers to hold dollars in a U.S. bank branch, brick and mortar, or in T-bills. I don't know if the Genius Act specifically requires, and of course, don't trust verified. Double check on that. And if they require anyone who is going to be issuing a stablecoin, which of course can't be a tech company according to the Genius Act, that they have to hold money onshore. Because ultimately, they just have to have monthly attestations, right? Monthly attestations and proof of reserves. So having proof of reserves in a U.S. bank branch brick and mortar will be very interesting. This is also interesting. The encouragement of stablecoin issuers to list on U.S. stock markets. Sisla was just on here earlier. We were talking specifically about that, right? About what's the next company who's going to be coming and creating a SPAC or flipping an existing NASDAQ or other listed company to. And it doesn't have to be the NASDAQ, right? They could go like on OTC markets with penny stocks or something, find a company reverse merger into something like that. Now that I think about it, it just says U.S. stock markets. The assumption there is that it's going to be, something that's NASDAQ or something in the regular NYSE listed, but that doesn't necessarily mean that penny stocks are out of the market on that. Huh, that's interesting. U.S. big tech firms have to add, we'll be adding, these are things that he's thinking will happen, right? That they're going to be adding crypto wallets, their social media apps, and something we've already seen. Multiple members of the Trump administration talking positively about stable coins in the media. We've seen this from Scott Bessent. He's been making a lot of rounds. Howard Lutnick, Commerce Secretary, also making a lot of rounds. We're going to see more and more of these people talking about SEC Chair Paul Atkins. He's not technically in the cabinet, but these are all. We're going to see a lot more administration members talking very positively about stable coins. And the reason why I do think this is important, coming from Arthur, is he just got pardoned by the president before BTC in Vegas. So back in June, right? I would like to think he knows some stuff about this. So I do think that this is not a prophecy, but I think we're going to see something like this happen. The one thing he did slip back in here is in this article is something called Codex, something that he is advising on. They are apparently going to be doing a raise. So codex.xyz. And the idea about Codex, and I don't know if this is specifically alpha, is to turn this into the first true crypto bank. If there's one thing that Arthur Hayes is good at, it's putting together some really compelling entrepreneurial ventures. So I do think Codex could be a very interesting vehicle moving forward, specifically for that. But yeah, so I think that's quite interesting. Next thing we'll talk about before we head home is MetaMask. We don't specifically use MetaMask anymore. It's not our biggest recommendation. Rabby is our recommendation for EVM wallets, but Rabby is built on top of MetaMask. So some of this stuff possibly moves into Rabby at some point. Not sure. They may take a third party option, but MetaMask has come in with social login. This is interesting for a couple of reasons. This makes it much easier for a user to come in and create a wallet. Honestly, I don't know, frankly, why. Well, I guess on the mobile side, this makes sense, right? So you don't have to go ahead and worry about seed phrases and private keys. That's all kind of taken care of for you through their SRP facility. Let me get to the next picture. And the SRP, of course, stands for secret recovery phrase. It's much like a seed phrase, right? No, wait, did they just rebrand this? Well, let me walk that back, right? So I guess they're using specifically this. Is this not BIP 39? Huh. I'm gonna have to look into this a little bit more because how do you take really hard, maybe quantum resistant crypto encryption to create an SRP? I'm assuming all of these words are in the BIP 39 dictionary. They kind of have to be for them to be compliant, right? So that's 4, that's 9. So it's a 12-word, secret recovery phrase. Okay, so it's just Google or Apple right now. And they've built significant infrastructure for this. Got it. Okay, so they're just using password protected, just details from both platforms to create some sort of unique algorithmic point that can pull. Well, I'd have to double check. I don't want to jump to conclusions, but yeah, this is big news for them. They need, frankly, MetaMask needs good news, right? They're still the number one. They're probably still the number one Web3 wallet, but Rabby, frankly, has been eating their lunch, right? Phantom has been eating their lunch overall because for a lot of people they don't want multiple apps to go cross train. Now, to MetaMask's credit, they've had snaps, which are like web extensions. If you want to have those like in a web browser, that's the same thing inside of MetaMask to add on additional functionality, because there are people who just want bare bones MetaMask. I know plenty of OGs and other chads who just use bare bones MetaMask, and they're fine with not having a gas account bolt on. They're fine with not having, security information bolted in. They're fine without having to not have to add chains manually to the ledger and stuff like that. That's fine. But yeah, I mean, overall, we from what we do, because we help onboard people into DeFi that may not have the most amount of knowledge about crypto and DeFi, we like Rabby just because it's just more user friendly. The UI is more intuitive. Not that MetaMask has not been intuitive. Again, it's built on top of MetaMask in terms of the code. So, obviously they've kind of taken the life of their own with it. But yeah, kudos. I'm gonna give. Obviously, we always got to give flowers to groups like MetaMask. So let's kind of talk about some of the things that have been highlighted that they've recently added. The first is Solana support natively is cool. I'd like to see that come to Rabby at some point. I don't know. Makes sense, right? Say so. Well, say what? Say in terms of UVM, because it's definitely not the Cosmos. Say, because Say is pretty much now just an EVM parallelized EVM technology chain. There's the MetaMask card, something we talked about on this quite a few times. Earning with Aave and just some clicks. Social login, probably the biggest thing. Oh, so this is good marketing, right? This is their way to market on this. All right. Well, anyway, congrats to MetaMask. Although also one thing that they have is their MetaMask dollar. This was launched last week after the show. They're working with M0. M0 really, really good decentralized stablecoin cross-chain provider of liquidity. Looking to definitely connect with M0, talk with them. They have multiple other coins that they have. I believe Usual is one. USDHL is another on Hyper EVM. But this is also in partnership with Bridge. Bridge is the main stablecoin group that was bought by Stripe earlier this year. Probably one of the biggest M&As to happen in the crypto space this year. So, yeah, this is oh, the comment section. Where is our mask token? Oh, shout out to Declan Fox, head of ecosystem at Linea. Don't take all that seriously, buddy, please. Will there ever be a MetaMask token? If you think there's going to be a MetaMask token, give me a comment. Let me know. Put a like on this if you think there will be a MetaMask token. I mean, this, because technically this is kind of a MetaMask token. It's just not the token you were thinking of. You know, these are not the coins you were looking for. Jedi mind trick stuff. But they do. So MetaMask USD is a native stablecoin that will be used inside of MetaMask. My question to you, MetaMask, is I do not want to see a swap fee for this stuff. Fine if you want to swap fee me for anything else, but if you do fee-free swaps between MUSD and anything that I have in my token ledger wallet, I'll use it. Full stop. But if you're going to charge me 7/8% for this, that's a no-go for me, buddy. The number of WinMask tokens in here. One thing, guys, I did want to put out from a content standpoint, and this is something that Sisla was bringing up a little bit earlier. I am looking to do a call on my personal brand on my Twitter, where I'm doing kind of React kind of content. So if you have clips or things you want me to look at to kind of react to and give my commentary to, because I do that on Mondays now. If you go to my personal Twitter, I do stream what's called my Work With Me stream, where I kind of go through the news from the past week that I prep for this, and from some of our other resources, just to give commentary. It's normally like 60 to 90 minutes, roughly. So if you want to hang out on that stream, I had a butt ton of people hang out on Monday. I was like, I don't know what I'm talking about that you guys are here for, but thank you. I appreciate you. Really appreciate that. But yeah, I'm looking to do another content stream where I literally just kind of give commentary and react to DeFi and crypto related content. So if you see a video that's interesting, let me know. Happy to. You can shoot me a DM on Twitter or whatever. Shoot me an email with stuff like that. Working with some other people on the panel to try and figure out like a cool way to kind of host that content or grab that content, kind of like a clip queue, if you know what that is on Twitch. I definitely kind of want to do one for the crypto and DeFi space. So if you want to help and contribute to that, let me know. Be great. Let's see. Last thing that I wanted to talk about specifically before we come back, and let's check the market, see if just in case something went funky. Oh yeah, we just saw the reclaim of 112, where the players dwell. 2.6 up on 24 for ETH, 2.3, 2.7 on XRP reclaims $3. So there's definitely whatever that was over the weekend. Just don't sell. Simple as that. Stop selling. You're playing into these DAT companies' hands. You want to know where all your BTC, ETH, and SOL goes if you sell? Here, to all these guys. And now I've got a tracker showing it. Again, cryptotreasuries.app, really interesting app. Like I said, I found this literally an hour before the show. Yeah, really enjoy looking through this stuff. And kudos to whoever vibe coded. I'm sorry, whoever created this. I really shouldn't say that. But really, we're in an age where people are kind of no coding everything. Sorry, I had a bug. Ironically, and again, this is just nonsense. We have a pest control guy come every quarter. He normally goes outside because normally somebody is asleep or we want to make sure our pets are fine. The first time they come inside, I think in probably 8 months, and suddenly I have bugs everywhere here in my studio. I don't understand how that works. None until after they came and sprayed. I don't get it. Anyway, I don't know if you can hear all the cicadas. The cicadas are ridiculous in this part of the country. I don't know who or why. They're time bombs, right? Because technically when these broods, they burrow underground for what, 15, 16 years, and then it's fascinating. Is nature not fascinating? My God. Anyway, but one thing I did want to point out of here is if you're looking for some interesting alpha, um, yeah, I mean these are charts. These are ideas on where these could go. But if you're not bullish on hype, if you're not bullish on Athena, which I am on both of these, if you're looking for a coin to consider, again, not financial advice, doing research, don't ask me, I'm DJing. These are three very good ones to consider. Another one, and I talked about this on my Monday stream. Anything that is affiliated with BlackRock, any coin, and I mean blockchain coin. So Aptos, Arbitrum, Optimism, Solana, BNB chain, and I can't remember the other ones for some reason. Is Base a chain that's on the list? I don't think they are. Anyway, there's 8 of them now. Consider those. Anyone who's an RWA coin issuer, as he mentioned here, encouragement of stablecoin issuers to list on US stock markets. That's alpha for you right there. Are we going to see? I mean, obviously, Athena isn't IPOing just yet, but are we going to see Athena IPO? We're going to see Ondo IPO. We're going to see Securitize M0 IPO. Yeah, I think we will. It's Tether IPO. Anyway, guys, that's the show for today. Again, join us here every Wednesday. We've been doing this show every week since December 2021. The main goal, to educate you guys on the week's news, and every now and then bring on featured panelists who are going to introduce new protocols to you in our community. If you want to join our community, it's absolutely free. You can come over and do so at school.com/beacon. Absolutely free. This is from the mothership here at Beacon DeFi. Of course, we're at beacondefi.io. If you care to look at our homepage, you're more than welcome to. But yeah, we have shows. We have shows now 3 times a week that are public facing. We have our Twitter space on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. where we have new protocols come on. We did a tour of Core, the layer 1 Bitcoin aligned chain. Fantastic show. There's some really interesting alpha in there. If you guys want some alpha and some things to get into, you should listen to that Twitter space. Yeah, you should. We have this show every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern, and we also have a free community training on Fridays, 3 p.m. Eastern, called Beat the Banks, where I kind of talk about different things that can help you utilize DeFi to really make some real money in this space, regardless of how much you have in capital to start out with. Again, free trainings. Last week we talked about security and about staying safe. The week before that we talked about DeFi savings accounts that are available that are definitely worth looking into. Shout out to our friends at Axel, AXAL, getaxel.com. Check them out to earn between 6 and 10% on your money, which is going to be way better than what you get at your bank or your savings account. And you get direct access to this. Your keys, your crypto, self-custody, win, win, win. It's been a good day. Thanks again to Sisla from Flix.fun. I'll tweet And I'll put announcements out when I decide when my homepage, my creator homepage is ready, because it's going to be a really cool spot to go to, guys, because you're going to get access to stuff that I'm posting on Zora, stuff that I'm posting on Twitter, stuff that I stream on multiple spots. Here, my personal stuff at Retake and Abstract. I'm also an Abstract chain streamer. Links to guides and stuff like that we have here on Beacon. It'll be a really good place for you to really just find how to get started here in this space, which is key, because like I mentioned, earlier, we're early, super early, guys. Oh my God, I didn't even talk about the one thing I want. I buried the freaking lead, guys. Let me bring up the last piece that I forgot to talk about. Google is creating their own blockchain, layer 1 blockchain. And why this isn't coming up. Okay. So Stripe and Circle also creating their own layer 1 blockchain. Circle's is going to be called ARC, USDC focused. Stripe's is going to be called Tempo. EVML1 makes sense in my personal opinion, because they're going to need a good base for all of the stablecoin tech that they're going to be doing, because Bridge, their big acquisition, is a stablecoin firm. So having a layer 1 to be a home base for a lot of that, while still having all that cross-chain interoperability and the ability to not have fragmented liquidity with their stuff, I think will be key. That's a key part of the roadmap. Also, a big part of their acquisition strategy was Privy, the social login thing. So that's why when I saw that MetaMask had social logins, I'm like, why didn't they just use Privy? Obviously, they want to have all the fees for themselves in that case. Some things about these. So they called it GCUL, the Google Cloud Universal Ledger. I saw yesterday Ansem had a tweet on this with like what is that? I'm gonna call it Gickle. Rhymes with tickle, could be fickle. You might make a nickel. That's all I got. I'm not shocked by this. When I met with Google in New York City, they clearly have been, they for years now, they've been really bullish on Web3 stuff. I do think they have a partnership with Axelar, specifically for interoperability cross-chain. As you can see, none of this is going to be ready this year. Hate to break it to anybody who's like, oh, this is all going to be great. None of this is coming this year. It's all going to be Q1 2026. So that's why getting in here early, guys, is so important, because 2026 is going to be absolutely nuts in terms of this, because institutions have already front run retail. Retail is starting to wake back up because ETH finally broke its all-time high after 4 years. It's going to be a lot of people coming down here and trying to figure out what's going on. I don't know what the true utility of GCUL is going to be, but it's going to be something that's going to be available, I believe, to multiple users. There's a comment I was looking for. But yeah, so one thing to note, these are all, well, they may not be centralized forever, but they're going to be centralized in the beginning, right? That makes sense. They're going to own their validators. That's the main reason why they have their L1s. At some point, they may decentralize this to a degree. But this is the part that is going to be very interesting for Google. So it's built for institutional finance. It's going to be native commercial bank money on chain. The other part is Python-based smart contracts. This is really important, mainly, well, it's really not that important, to be honest, because you can compile Python now into smart contracts. It's not Solidity, but it's fine. The competitive drivers, it's a neutral player. All right. Agentic capabilities. This is where Google has the edge over all of these. Not even a question. Not even a question. If you've used Google Gemini, I'm a fan of Google Gemini. I'm a fan of all of their entire AI suite. They are very good at AI. Using AI agents. If you've seen some of the new stuff out there, I think Banana Memo was out there to create memes, and it's like an editor, Google VO for video editing. They're very, very capable. The moment they open up the agentic part to make this very easy, specifically for not just institutions, whole industries to use automated flows to move digital payments and digital commerce, like blockchain-based commerce around. Yeah, I mean, no secret, they have Google Pay too, right? So they have multiple reasons to have their hands in the cookie jar. They're going to be owning this technology, of course, because they're a publicly traded company. They have shareholders to answer to. Same thing with Circle. Same thing. Is Stripe public? I don't know. Regardless, the one thing that is, I'm not going to say scary, but makes me a little nervous about a lot of these big companies now coming in on a DeFi. Yes, I'm so happy that we're seeing more mainstream talks about blockchain investing, all that type of stuff. It's great. Reach out to me, Google. Would love to work with you. The issue is the pushing of their own walled gardens, right? Because for a lot of groups in this space, like our friend Sisla, who was on the show today, he doesn't have the distribution that Google does. Again, a lot of this stuff, because the other piece of the news that I totally, again, buried the lead, is that the CME group has been testing this the entire, come on. The CME group has been testing this technology the entire time. Let's see. There we go. CME Group is the umbrella company for the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, one of the largest derivative exchanges in the world. That's where Ethereum futures first started 2 years ago. So for them to be using this specifically for their market efficiency, for their blockchain transactions, obviously still private testnet, that's probably not going to affect their actual market products at all, but it could be influential in what they do in the future. That's very big news for Google and for them. So ultimately, this won't affect the majority of us here in DeFi because, again, institutional stuff that'll be handled behind the scenes between major institutions, in my personal opinion, more infrastructure based. So, but they'll have a say into what happens moving forward. And for me, that's the part that's that I'm a bit cautious about. So, like I said, we'll wait and see. None of this is happening this year. Again, private testnet, public testnet this fall, TBD. None of this is happening this year. Yeah, no. None of this is happening this year because we're coming into Q4 in literally less than 30 days. So I think Q1 2026. There's a lot of tech that's waiting, that they're waiting for some other things to happen so that they can properly deploy and make a decent splash, so they're not just caught up in a cloud of everybody else, right? The XRP ledger. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. But yeah, excited to see what happens. Again, back to the outro. I mean, again, we do this show every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Check out our other shows too. Twitter Spaces, 2 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays. Our community training for free. That's live streamed on Fridays, 3 p.m. Eastern. Please check it out here on our show, on Twitter, on YouTube, that type of thing. I'm Chris, the DeFi professor. And we'll see you next time on the show. Again, every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Beacons up. Banks down. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.